In this video, we're going to solve the following problem. Write a quadratic in the variable x having the given numbers as solutions. Type the equation in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b, and c are integers, no fractions. So you can see I've annotated our question here a little bit. In the variable x means that the variable that we're going to have in the equation, our final answer, is going to be x. And we're going to type the equation in standard form. That's instructions for entering into my math lab. Means that we're going to have our final answer in that form. And we're going to have to find values for a, b, and c. And those values are going to have to be integers. They're not going to be able to be fractions. So before we do this problem, I first want to take a look at reminding us of what happens when we solve quadratic equations. So let's say we have 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. And if we wanted to solve this quadratic equation, the first method that comes to mind is using factoring in the zero product principle. The only things we can multiply together to get 2x are 2x and x, and the only things we can multiply together to get 1 are 1 and 1, and that middle term is positive. So this looks like the factorization, but let's check it. So 2x times x gives me 2x squared, and then we end up with plus 2x plus x, which gives us plus 3x, and then 1 times 1 gives us plus 1. So that is the proper factorization. Now, we have a statement that a product of two binomials is equal to 0. In order for that to be true, one of those binomials needs to be equal to 0. So that means that 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. That's the only way for our product to be equal to 0. Now, to continue solving our quadratic equation, we need to solve each one of these equations that we came up with. And we get 2x is equal to negative 1. We'll divide both sides of our equation by 2, and we get x is equal to negative a half. And solving the second equation, we'll subtract 1 from both sides, and we get x is equal to negative 1. So now getting back to the problem that we were given, we're actually starting with the solutions, and what we want to do is we want to work our way backwards in order to come up with an equation in this form. And in particular, we're given fractional solutions, so let's sort of look at this part here that has the fractions. If we were going to work backwards here, we're starting with x is equal to negative 1/2. Our first step then would be to multiply by both sides by 2, so that we would get back to 2x is equal to negative 1. And then we would add 1 to both sides so that we could get back to the place where we were at 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. And then we could take our two binomials and multiply them together. So let's go back over here to our original problem, and let's start off with our statement of our two solutions. X is equal to negative 6/7, or x is equal to 8/7. So we need to get back to the two binomials that we factored into, and so that's going to mean multiplying both sides of this equation by 7. And so that's going to give us 7x is equal to negative 6. And we want to have one side equal to 0. So we're going to add 6 to both sides. And we get 7x plus 6 is equal to 0. And now working with the second equation that we're given here, again, we're going to have to multiply both sides of that equation by 7. And that's going to give us 7x is equal to 8. And then we're going to have to subtract 8 from both sides of the equation, and we get 7x minus 8 is equal to 0. So if we had started by solving a quadratic equation, then those must have been the binomials that we started with. So now, in order for us to get back to that original quadratic equation, we can multiply these two together. 7x times 7x is going to give us 49x squared. 7x times negative 8 is going to give us minus 56x. 6 times 7x is going to give us plus 42x. And 6 times negative 8 is going to give us minus 48, and that's going to be equal to 0. So we're almost there. The only thing we need to do is combine the like terms together, and we get 49x squared. Combining these, negative 56 plus 42 is going to give us negative 14x minus 48 is equal to 0. So this is the quadratic equation that has the solutions x is equal to negative 6/7 or x is equal to 8/7. I hope you found this helpful.